Hey yo, what's good my friends, my Nakama? Welcome to another Master Duel video. Today, I would like to showcase some of my duel replays. I learned to play Sky Strikers in about 1 day of in-game time, and it's been a blast. I've really come to enjoy the deck, and I wanted to showcase some of the plays that I had done, some replays, just, give you an idea of it, something a bit more casual than the full-on guide that has been released on the channel. So take a look at that if you would like more information on how to play the deck. This is kind of just so you can kind of like see some of the plays. My thought process was something cool happened, so I'm going to chime in and out, just more of a casual, like one-to-one type beat, right? I'm gonna drift in and out when something I think is cool happens, to explain my thought process when a certain action takes place in game. You might hear me speak, but other than that, just enjoy the gameplay. Oh, wait, also important, the deck list for the deck that I'm playing in this video is pinned in the pinned comment right down below. And don't forget to drop a like while you're down there. Really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. Let's get into it. So here I was actually kind of lucky. I had just learned to play Dragonmaids myself a couple days ago, so I knew how my opponent's deck played, and I knew that they didn't really have the resources to like get at me like that. But I also kind of misplayed here. I thought I had spell cards in my graveyard that reduced my opponent's monster's attack, and I just didn't. That being said, like we were still fine. We were still chilling. I'm like, okay, so how best can I apply the cards that I have, so on and so forth, blah blah blah, and kind of just set myself up for what's to come. Now, I actually kind of surprised myself here. My opponent really did, they misplayed because they should not have put the Dragonmaid in the link zone. And what Rose says is that if there's a monster in the link zone that gets destroyed, your opponent's link zone, you can summon it from the graveyard. I was going to use my Monster Reborn to get my play started, but because of where they just put their monster, just by chance, I was able to just go into my plays and get a full board established. Now, at this point, I think I've got like the core mechanics down, the order in which you summon the monsters. What's still a bit iffy is the spell cards and the order in which you search them. And like what I was thinking in this moment was, okay, what if my opponent has some back row that I need to play through on the next turn? Like I'd rather get rid of the back row and find a way around the monsters after the fact. You know what I mean? Like I thought that would be the best way to go about it. So also, I have so many hand traps at this point that like we're just big chilling. Like I was in complete control at this point, so I was comfortable. And then, of course, I was right about the back row, and I've got enough spell cards in the graveyard to proc the secondary effects of all my cards, so I got to destroy a monster as well. And then Jar of Avarice, get me all my resources right back, so I can kind of like extend a bit further. Now, my opponent, they summon a monster onto the field, but if anything, I felt like they kind of extended my place here, so I felt like I understood their deck better than they understood mine, because there's 2 sets of Yoink cards that we have in this deck. One that negates the effect like just happened, and then I can steal my opponent's card, and then one that lets me banish a card from the graveyard and then yoink it. And they kind of just set me up to do both if I had both the cards. Maybe they weren't expecting it, maybe they just didn't know, but regardless of that fact, we can take their monsters and use them for link climbing. Like this was one of the first times where I like link climbed using my opponent, and it felt so good. Right, just like yoink like the concept of link monsters to me was always so foreign, because I was like, okay, yeah, like Xyz monsters can't be used for a synchro summon. Like I thought that kind of logic applied, where it's like, okay, yeah, links, like they're a different color, they stand in a different zone, like only certain, like I don't know, it just I didn't completely grasp the fact that like no matter what you're holding on to, it could be a fusion, a link, your brother-in-law, it does not matter. The links belong to the streets is what I'm trying to say. And so like I link climbed all the way into this guy. I was having a good time, and like this deck can make this guy so consistently, and it was just a good game. GG's. Okay, so game 2, I'm pretty sure that this is the game where I kind of like showcase my knowledge of like the ideal turn 1 opening, and it involves a lot of drawing. You know, our opponent's life points get boosted up when we upstart Goblin, but like we don't care about their life points. It literally does not matter in the slightest. We're setting our board up, you know, we're doing all of the stuff and all of the things, and just watch. Now, you would think I planned this, but again, we're playing against a deck that I just recently learned how to play in the TCG, and it's Dark Magician, so I know the counters, I know what to do. They got a circle on the field, which means like I'm expecting an Eternal Soul. So what my thought process right here is like, okay, let me activate a spell card that I don't really need, that doesn't really matter, because Dark Magicians are all normals. So let's just activate the spell to get it in the graveyard ASAP to try and proc my special effects. Now, Dark Magician hits the field, it's all good, fine and dandy. They're gonna go for their Circle Banish, whatever. It does not really matter because again, we have Ray in the graveyard. So if I was them, I would have targeted one of the spells or the traps to prevent me from being able to use it. But hey, I mean, get down how you get down. Reading is hard. Now, I chose to go into this card rather than any of the other combo pieces because of the card that I have in hand. I have an Engage in hand. I wanted to set myself up to be able to use it and then go into Kagri to then, you know, get it out of the graveyard and add it back to my hand, but I didn't want to lock myself out of the card that I would use to attack in the battle phase or the card that I'd use to search in the end phase, so I used that as kind of like an in-between to clear out the space in my field and then allow myself to, you know, start activating my card effects again. Now, drawing this card is where things started to get interesting because it let me summon a token onto the field, which means that we're link climbing now. I activate Rose in the Head to special summon, and I can go straight into the level 3. Now, Dark Magician right now cannot be, it's unaffected by my card effects, and I don't have anything that can get rid of this archetype doesn't really have anything for face-up spells and traps in, like, its base set, unless you've got, like, enough spell cards. It's just very situational. So, I went into the link 3 to just send the Eternal Soul back into the deck. Now Dark Magician can be targeted again. We can destroy the Dark Magician, destroy the circle, just do whatever we want, and we have Axis Kotalker on the field. This is like the boss monster. It's the one, right? This is who we go to. And I'm not done because I want to get some big damage, and they got a lot of life points that I basically gifted to them. So we get Ray out of the deck, and then we yoink their Dark Magician, and I'm like, I could use this to link, but I was like, nah. I would get less damage out of doing that, 1 and 2, if I put it back in their graveyard, and they get another Eternal Soul, then, you know, that could potentially lead to problems later on. I'm gonna just hold on to your toy for now. Now, this was definitely, I mean, the biggest activation of the continuous spell that you can possibly do. I didn't even, so I had four cards set, and I was like, oh wait, there's another one. I could do the field spell, so you can get 5 cards from your graveyard just ready to go. At this point, I was like, yeah, we don't lose this. It's really just a question of how I choose to go about winning. And I was considering sending the Dark Magician to the graveyard to activate the field spell, but then they activated Eternal Soul, so I'm like, oh, then they'll just summon the Dark Magician. So like, let's just stick with what we've got. We don't need to activate anything else. We don't need to BM. We're just gonna swing for lethal, and that's gonna be game. Now, I think in this game I had a slightly less than optimal opening, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, yeah. I didn't open the continuous spell. I didn't open Array, but I opened Rose. So Rose is in the graveyard now, and it still it works. I can get into my Link monster, search my deck in the end phase, and kind of like get myself started on that note. I've got a Max C. I've got myself an Ash Blossom. Like, I'm not worried here. It's more so just like, okay, I'm a little bit nervous. I don't have my floating effect in the graveyard. What's my opponent playing? What's going on? And it's Blue Eyes. Okay, I remember this duel. Now this was fun. I should have Max C'd before this. I was thinking, oh, you know, Blue Eyes isn't going to do anything. I completely forgot about alternative, and I'm pretty sure my toggle was off because smooth brain, but hey, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I made it so I couldn't be affected by card effects, so, you know, all good, no problem. Don't get destroyed. And then he tries to do something or other. I think it's a ritual summon. Oh no, it was Cards of Continents. Right. And I just negated that. I negated the Cards of Continents. He's still going. He's still going at it. He's still having a damn good time. He synchro summons. And like Blue Eyes, I know Blue Eyes not from I don't know Blue Eyes from Max. I know Blue Eyes from Duel Links. And my guy doesn't even mind that I have Max C active. He's just giving me cards for the price of freedom. So I've drawn into Array now. So like I'm not really worried about anything here. I chose to summon the token because I know that there's a stone in the graveyard, right? With the stone in the grave, he's most likely going to summon that one, the Spirit Dragon, which would have banished the spell card, and I need it in the graveyard to try and get my effects to activate the way that I want them to. So like we're big chilling here. We go for a link summon. That way we can activate the cards in our hand to search out our deck. Again, in this instance, we go for the yellow one. That way I can activate this card safely and still make my way into my boss monster and then into, you know, the whole chain, because they can all only be summoned once per turn. So I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do it this way to be safe. I want him to jump off the field here, right? I just want to get all of these effects out of the way. I know that he's going to jump, but bearing in mind that I've got 2 trap cards in hand to negate the effect of the monster that just hit the field. So if he makes himself untargetable, I don't have a way to deal with that, right? Because he's gonna, I'm not big enough. I can't target you, and you're gonna be summoning monsters, like big monsters from the graveyard next turn. Nah. So we destroyed that. We didn't Ash Blossom, we destroyed that, right? So we summon Kagiri, then we get back the search card from the graveyard, and we're just plussing now. If I'm not mistaken, I have enough, I think there's enough spells in the graveyard to trigger the extra effect, so I get to draw 2. Yes, I do. And that's what I love about the draw 2 in this deck is the hand traps. You always have hand traps. Like you always, once you've got 3, like once you've started your card advantage, you just always do. It's the circle of life. It's a philosophy of this deck. You're big chillin', right? And now I've got Array in the graveyard, even though I didn't summon the Ray in my hand because I can use his effect. Wait, no, it's all still a girl. She's just wearing different mech suits. So her effect is in the graveyard now, and we're looking good. Okay, so now I've got my spell cards in the graveyard. Now I've got the resources at my disposal. I'm pretty sure I can start to be a little bit toxic now, right? So I put Ray on the field not because I actually want to use her, but because I want to kind of like search out my deck, see what I get. I don't get anything, well, at all. So we just go straight for a Link 2 into Zeke. Zeke hits the field, that way I can activate the spell card in my hand to negate the effects of that card and yoink it. Now, what's really cool is I can send the field spell to the graveyard, then summon an Array from the deck, so we're still big chilling. We're just climbing up. We're just climbing up and up and up, and we make it right into Access Code Talker. Now, in this instance was when I realized, oh wait, I used a Link 2 to get into this monster. Maybe I should have gone Link 3 and then into Access Code Talker, because now I only have 4,000 attack instead of 5,000. It doesn't really play a factor in this duel, but this was kind of the duel that made me realize, okay, just always either go into Unicorn or Celine if you want to go into Access Code Talker, because Access Code copies the link, like the link rating of one of the monsters used to summon it, so a Link 3 would be really, really good. At this point, I almost feel like we're ready for whatever. Like once you're in full gear, like there's not, what do you do? And then because I know you're gonna have a monster on the field, I get the card that can destroy the monster, and now it can also destroy the set card. Like what do you do? What do you do here? I don't want to BM. I don't want to be extra. I'm just gonna do the needful, and I'm gonna swing. Like that's a GG. Hey yo, real talk, if you made it this far into the video, let me know if you like this format of it. I've never done this before, right? I thought it might be like a chill, like vibey kind of thing to do. Just like, okay, look, we're watching the replays. I'm telling you about my thoughts. We're going through it. Just like talking, having a conversation, except not really, because like that's not how YouTube works, and you should know this. What's wrong with anyway, this was a really fun duel. It was up against Cyber Dragons. This is the only Cyber Dragon player who I played, and I felt bad by the end of the duel because like I think they're really cool. I want to build the Cydra deck, I do, but in this instance they did not get a chance to shine. He did his whole opening thing. He did the whole shebang, and I wanted to just get in the way of it somehow. Ghost Ogre, a destruction effect wouldn't have been that meaningful in the chain because he would still get to special summon the monster from the graveyard, but I had a feeling he wanted to link summon because unlike Duel Links, they don't have the skill to help them to like rank 5 XZ summon, so I figured a link summon was coming. I wanted to get rid of one of the cards on the field to maybe mess that up. Didn't really work out, doesn't really matter. He just doesn't have the cards that he needs. Now, my turn comes around and I'm ready to begin my plays. I activate this card and Ash Blossom. No search going off. That's all good. I don't mind it. I'm not mad. I'm a little mad, but I'm not mad, right? It goes straight to the graveyard. That's fine. That's fair. This was so clean. He activates Maxi on the normal summon. I chain Raid's effect. I chain it to the Maxi to float right into the monster that I want to be on here and now. That way you don't get the plus off of the Maxi, right? Like I know and his hand is empty now. I know you wanted that Maxi. I know that Maxi was necessary, and how we know this moving forward is that when the turn change is over, he draws one and he doesn't activate, he just swings, right? So he really needed that Maxi. He swings into me, destroys me, Ray activates in the graveyard. Not to mention I get to send a card to the graveyard off of that battle, summon Ray onto the field, and then at the end phase, so I know that he's not going to activate that card in his hand or anything like that, I go in and I make this. If you use Ray in the end phase, you can still search out your deck because of just the timing. You're fine to do it like that. And so now we're big chilling. Like now we're in the driver's seat. There's no back row to be heard of. We're just having a good time. We go into Kagiri to get the search card back out of our graveyard, and it's time to make plays. Now we're on turn 5, about to go to turn 6. He goes for a Cosmic Cyclone, and this is what the hand traps, right? Lancey is there for Tri-Brigades primarily, but it's also good for situations like that. If my spell cards are destroyed, that's fine because they're in the graveyard, but if they're banished, that's a problem. So that makes a lot of sense. He's still swinging because like, what else can you really do? But Ray activates again, gonna be searching, and at this point, once you get to this stage in the duel, like, if we get to my third turn and I've been able to set up to this degree, you're not winning the duel, like unfortunately, right? Look at all of the cards that we have set right now. There is nothing that we can't do. So I decided to try something new. I've got the space for it. I've got the room for it. Let's experiment a little bit, right? So I go into Gigari and it's a whole shebang. We add a card from our graveyard to our hand, but our board is literally clogged up. We need to activate just for the sake of freeing things up. I take their Ash Blossom and I want to make Halki 5-Brax for the first time. I'm very, very excited to do it, right? It was actually really cool. I didn't even know it had an animation. This is the first time I ever summoned it. And I activated its effect and I messed up here. I summoned White Ogre and I didn't realize that Celine required a spellcaster specifically. I thought it was just any tuner, but we top deck a Veiler. We top decked Effect Veiler anyway, so I just normal summoned it and the chain continued as if nothing had gone wrong, even though I had completely misplayed. But we were able to make it work. We got 7 counters on Celine just because we're we're in the late game now, right? Like this is the home stretch effectively. We go straight into Halki 5 racks, and realistically speaking, we can do, I can destroy you in swing, I can yoink your monster, I can kick you in the nuts. There's any number of things that can be done here. But I'm pretty sure we go for the yoink and swing, right? It's most straightforward, that way they don't get the attack boost, so on and so forth. And that's a GG. So that's the final game. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and have a fantastic day. Take care of yourselves.